Well, welcome everybody here in the Beautiful You community. I am excited to bring Fari here to you today. Fari is a health and wellness coach and personal trainer, and she specializes in helping people go from feeling lost and lonely, angry and frustrated, suffering from imposter syndrome. I have been there for way too long. It's been a wrestle for a lot of years for me, that imposter syndrome process. And she brings hope in empowering and rejuvenating your self-love and respect. Today, she's here to share her story of how she came into this place of service just by looking at some of her own personal struggles and the messages that came with them, because there's a lot we can learn from just being a scientist of our own bodies, our own life and experiences, instead of looking at them as being like, oh, this, we were talking just briefly before, and just like sometimes we attach ourselves to these things and be like, I am this, I am that, this is my cross to bear, this is my thorn. But it's not always the case. Sometimes we get some horrific things that happen to us that are out of our control, and we can learn some really powerful lessons in that process. So tell us, Fari, how did you come into this place of service, of just meeting women and others that I'm sure it's not just women that you work with, you are a vibrant little firecracker. So I love how you can take this energy and this love that you have and just bring it to the whole entire world, and be able to bring these messages and clarity of understanding the struggle and the messages that come with them. So welcome.
Thank you. I love the fact that you called me little, and I just think, oh, I love you forever. You called me little. In this day and age is something I've not been called, but thank you for having me here. And yes, I am Fari. I am originally from Iran, and I have been living for the last 45 years. It'll be in August, between England and America. And I guess I was born in a very big family, and a family that my parents were always very, very, to this day, my mother is very loving. And we kind of were being raised seeing that. But until I left and I became the trainer that I became 30 years ago in June, I became a trainer, fitness trainer. And as you're a fitness trainer, then people, when they see you, normally they talk to you. When you go and have your hair done once a 6 weeks or once a 9 weeks, they tell you, well, hey, how's it going? But imagine now the person sees you 3 times a week. So they start talking to you and they open up to you. And as I'm talking to them, it's just really lovely to see that people, I mean, these very affluent people, that they could afford me that many times a week, they're saying things to me, and I'm just wondering, first of all, why are they sharing it with me? And when I just answered, somewhat, it was just like they're looking at me and said, well, how did you know that? And I said, I don't know, I just knew it, because I really thought not from my head to answer them, I thought from my heart. And I was answering them, and then later stage I realized, oh, that connects to where I didn't know this about me, that I was so spiritual, and I've always been into my prayers. I don't necessarily believe in any religion aspect of things, except that I am into the spirit of things. And spirituality for me is humongous. And that's when I realized, oh, I've been tapping into this spiritual world without me actually knowing or giving it a name. And I just always knew that I love to love. I love to give. I love people. And having lived in England, that it was freezing cold, I could see that when I just saw somebody that needed help, I was rushing in the rain to grab them and lift them up if they fell. If they were like, I saw lots of the millions of steps going down in the undergrounds in England, and like the older people were just holding onto the walls and all that. And I'd go and hold their arm, say, would you like me to help? But they first looked at me, because British are not like that. They're not as comfortable as Americans are. Looked at me, because what do you want? I said, I just want to help you. Do you want me to help you go up the steps? You know,
Mm,
and uh, and it's just like I've never been comfortable in my skin to just take care of me. I want to give. Perhaps this is called today is called empath. If you hurt, I feel your pain. If you
mhm,
cry, I cry with you. If somebody's suffering there, I suffer with them. I feel the pain.
that's right.
And all of that got me to just dig deep within me to see what is it in me that I want to be so helpful. And sometimes I was called that I was a pleaser. And I thought, I really thought about that deep. And I thought, and I studied a lot, like what is a pleaser? What is a giver?
Mm,
And then when I went through it all, I then realized I'm not a pleaser. I am impulse. I love to love. I love to give. I want to take the pain out of you. If I can, I want to reach in and get it out.
mhm,
And being to that part of my life, um, I realized that I was suffering a lot in my body, which I think I was 27 years old in England. I got diagnosed with fibromyalgia,
mm,
which is this awful disease into the nerves around the joints and the muscles around the joints. And I've always been into fitness. So fast forward, I came to America 30 years ago and I became a fitness trainer. And because I suffered in my body, it made me have more passion for people that they were hurting in their body, and
mhm,
they came to be my clients and all that. And I wanted to, like, if I could, I wanted with my hand to dig in and pull the pain out of them. And then when I realized it's not just their physical body ache, and I thought, what is connected to that? And it just made me want to go deep into their body and figure out, oh lady, you're not hurting because you're shoulder head, you're hurting because it's coming from your head.
oh,
Oh yes, then I just realized the person was beaten up by the father or by the mother, or they were raped, or they had a father who was a drug addict or was in the jail, or it was a mother who was in a prison. And so then I found out, oh, all this pain and suffering that even myself, I go through it. So
mhm,
it's not because my joints are hurting. There
mhm.
is a deep problem in it. That why am I suffering? And when I dug into it, and then I wanted to study more and find out more. And I did, this goes back to like really 27, 8 years ago, when I wanted to dig into it, when the courses that I took, I realized I suffer from this for all for my childhood. Then it comes to where, because I was Iranian, and when I left Iran a few months later after that, I left Iran 1978 and 1979. Shah was kicked out of Iran, and all the mess and revolution started in Iran. And there I was taking everything into my body.
Mm,
So fast forward later stage, it got diagnosed with fibromyalgia, because wherever I went, I was this terrible bad person, because I was the Iranian. I was the bad wolf, or you're not wanted. Shame on you. Why are you Iranian? Why are you here? Go back to your country, and stuff like that. And that got even more worse, by 1,000 times worse, once I moved to America.
oh, for sure.
And I thought, I'm coming to America because I'm going to be, this is the place for everybody to be. Oh, it's a country that belongs to all the immigrants. No, it wasn't. And it was a wrong thing. So it brought more pain in me, more sorrow. And the more I dug into it, I realized, oh, that's the way I can help others. Why this person hurts from the toe, from the top. I mean, I remember I was training this young girl, 20, maybe 3 years old. And I saw her leg is all cut, cut, cut with her. And I said, and then she goes, yeah, I woke up and it was cut on it, and realized she's lying to me. And then finally, when I just like gave her a lot of love and all of that, I was probably 38, 39 myself. And she told me she cuts herself to get her attention from her father, you know. And then you dig into it, well, but why from your father? And then you go into these problems, said, wow, we're all suffering somehow, somewhat.
So true.
And because I was into meditation, I was into workout, into martial art and all of that, and there's a philosophy of a spirituality behind it, all, it got me to go deeper into it, that, oh, we're going through all that suffering, not because we've chosen to be tormented, or we're chosen because there's a gift in this. As I learned about my body and why am I hurting so much, it allowed me to have a bigger heart and be a shoulder for others to lean on me. And I said, listen, I know what you mean. I'm hurting too. Come to me. Let me comfort you.
You're like the hands and feet of Jesus.
Yeah. Well, yes.
He is love. And he says, come to me, let me comfort you.
Right,
That
right.
is the heart of God, right?
Absolutely. And that's why when I say I don't want to be connected to any religion, because look at what happened with Islam and what they did in Iran. But that doesn't mean all the Muslims are bad.
The church is so broken as a whole.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it really truly is. But, you know, I'm a huge believer of relationship with my creator. And he says that we are to love his people. That is our first commission, is to love. And he's ignited that in you. And to have that knowing of being like, just come to me, let me comfort you. That is the hands and feet of God.
Absolutely. And I was just going to say that at the peak of my studying and doing all of that, I came to a part of my life that I started, I think this was 1995 or 1996, that I said, I need to know more. Then I went with my Jewish people and they got me, and I went to Kabbalah, and then I started going to church. And even 1997, I became baptized as a Christian in this massive church. It was here, it's called Crenshaw Christian Center, that I got baptized on it here in Los Angeles. Is primarily African American church, and it was a 27,000 member. And there is I. You know.
Well, it would have been a lot of fun,
and I loved it. I loved them. I adore them. To this day, they are my clients, my friends. I adore them. Believe me, when I'm amongst the Black people, I feel home. There is something that it makes
their
me
heart is so pure.
I wish the whole world would think and feel like a Black person. The world would have been a better person. And I have no shame to say that loud, and I'm proud of it. I think nothing is like Black community in the world, and people have to learn from them. I am blessed to be married to a Black man. I adore him with every inch of my being. And yes, and that's where I got introduced to Jesus. And when I went for the Kabbalah, when I went for the Buddhism, when I went for church and all of that, I just realized after many years of studying, the core of all is only one single word, and it's Love. That's it. If you have that love, you have everything. If you don't have love, you have nothing. You can be a multi-billionaire. You are poor if you don't have love.
It is so, I love how you say that. I remember growing up and we were poor family. And I remember being called the welfare kid at school. And I came home one day to my mom. I'm like, Mom, are we poor? Like, because I didn't, at that time as a young child, you don't really understand that whole social acceptance when it comes to finance, right? And my mom says, no, honey, we're rich with love. And I just, that stuck with me, even though like I didn't have a good upbringing. There was lots of addictions and abuse and what have you, but just that always kind of stuck with me, as just being rich with love. Like these are all materialistic things. Like we can't take them with us when we go home. So like it's love is one thing that it's the legacy that we get to leave behind. And if we can tap into that and ignite it like you have, the world would be a better place. Absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, if people can just study the word of love, the one that they are mad, angry, sad, devastated, if they can just study it, they would learn a lot more, and it will make them like pause a second and say, why am I so mad and angry and devastated? Because there's more into life. And that's what got me to become as passionate and compassionate for people. And that's where I realized that the fibromyalgia didn't come to knock me down. The fibromyalgia came here to open my heart, to be more accepting of others and be more loving towards others. And I know that sometimes my love and my attention absolutely intimates people. The people get intimidated with me, by me, and I can't please everybody.
No, you
But
can't. But a lot of
and
that intimidation or that insecure is it's an insecurity. You know, when
yes, and
people
it's
don't feel
within
good
them.
about themselves, they
Mm,
tend to steer away from highly confident individuals because they feel less than. Um,
that's right.
and so until they can work on that insecurity, then that I know that from my own journey, right? There's a lot
That's
of
right.
confident women that I used to run away from, and now I just embrace it because I love being around confident people, because that's who I want to continue to grow and become more and more confident. And so eventually you'll be a magnet for them. But right now they're just like, I've got some stuff I need to work on.
Well, we all do. Everybody has.
Yeah,
You know, everybody has. If you can find somebody that is fully confident, is not existing.
that's right.
Everybody is all the time on this platform of learning and growing and evolving. You
Mhm.
know, because there is no, okay, I made to the PhD of being that confident person. Now I don't have any more to go. Doesn't exist.
That's right.
You always learn and you always grow.
It's evolved.
and
Yeah.
and that's what has gotten me to be the reason I wanted to be not just a fitness trainer. I wanted to be more leaning into being that wellness health coach,
Mm,
because coaching, mentoring people to become the better version of themselves, to
mm,
change their lifestyle. If you're frustrated, so you have to have 45 cigarettes a day because you don't know what to do with your hand and your time and your body, or if is it pot, or I don't know, even if it's an eating habit. I mean, there is a reason, there is no difference between a person that eats to be a size 18 and 20 than a person that goes for the drugs. Is the same concept that comes from the front of your brain that feeds you, whether you go to your alcohol or you go to too much sex or too much food, is the same concept.
or even shopping. There's
Underneath
a
it all,
lot.
yeah,
Mhm.
underneath it all, there is one reason, and
Mm,
that one reason that is been not recognized for them and not opened up for them, that why are they doing this? And that's what I love to help people, and for them to reach to that and just see that everything we do in life is all, I constantly say that life is all about the choice.
mm,
We choose where you want to go, you choose what you want to be, you choose what path you want to choose. I have a choice to lie down here 24/7 and say, I'm suffering and I'm hurting from my body. I can't do anything. Oh, pamper me the world. And then there'll be nobody around me. Or
yeah.
I have a choice to say, because I have this, I need to be more active. I need to do more. I have to forget thinking about my own thing and say, oh, poor me,
Mm.
and take this poor me and be a support for somebody else out there.
Oh, come on, preach it, sister.
You know, and
Yeah,
that's what it is. That's what,
so true.
the more I had, the more I want to pick up the phone and say to the person that fell and broke her ankle and say, how are you doing today? I didn't have the energy to talk, so what I did, I texted them. I let them get many texts from me that I'm thinking of them,
Mm,
you know. And it doesn't take much to just give love, and it doesn't take much to show that you care for somebody that is all lonely there.
mhm.
And loneliness is the reason people go down and they do what they do to themselves. Loneliness is the reason people start feeling that imposter syndrome. Really, I have believed, because I suffered from the imposter syndrome myself until I recognized it. I diagnosed it for myself. I said, imposter syndrome is because you want to be something that you're not, period.
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 Yeah, we
You
get
know,
stuck in that comparison space. You're like, oh, well, they're successful and I want to be successful, so I need to be like that person, right?
mhm.
Or that person's confident, they got it all together. I need to dress and look like that person. But
Mm.
that's not that's not who we are. We are all
That's
individuals.
why God made you the way you are.
That's
Just make
right.
what you are and you who you are. Feed that and
Mm,
water that like a plant that you have. The plant is in your house. The neighbor's plant is the neighbor's plant. You
that's
need to water the plant is in your house.
Amen.
You have to feed that. You are you. Feed yourself. Yes, it's lovely to have idol. I love, adore, worship Maya Angelou.
Mm,
I adore her, but I'm not sitting crying, why am I not Maya Angelou? But I learn from her. I
yeah.
use her as my aspiration and inspiration, you
Mm,
know, but it's okay that I am who I am. I learn to want to be just one bit of her way. I want to be that. That's why once we all learn, oh, I'm going through the imposter syndrome because I am not that rich person or I'm not that tall person. I always say, if God could give me 2 inches taller on my thighs, I'll be so much happier. We have all this crazy stuff that we want, but it doesn't mean I should be eating my heart at the why am I not like that tall person that walks there and she's 5'11" and I am 5'5". You
Yeah.
just learn to
And
accept.
being a tall person, especially for ladies, I find that sometimes they're like, oh, like it's harder to, because I was five, I'm shrinking now, but I was 5'9" for the majority of my life.
Oh
And
wow.
my husband's 5'8", and to wear heels, we would look like this, you know? And so when you're tall, it's sometimes like you wish you could be a little shorter so you could wear heels. But now that I'm in my 40s, I'm like, I'm okay that I'm tall because I don't have to wear heels because they break my feet. So I get to wear flats and I still can have my legs.
Sweetheart, enjoy your height. Yes.
But again, like
No,
you sometimes you want something that you don't have, and you don't, sometimes we look at those things, like same thing with people that have curly hair versus straight hair. You're like, oh, I
mm,
love your curly hair. You probably don't have to curl, like, people with straight hair are constantly curling it and putting heat in it and frying it and all the things, and getting perms and all this stuff, right? But just to kind of have the curly hair, and the girls with the curly hair are doing the exact same thing, trying to get the treatments to straighten it. It's like
that's right.
why do we do this? Like why don't we just embrace all of the wonderful chromosomes and different things that we've been gifted with, and just love who we are, the body that we've been given, and the adversities, because they all teach us something.
Absolutely. That's why 4 years ago, I decided that, I was dyeing my hair all the time and I was dyeing my hair every 12 days, it would come out. And I thought, you know what? Here I am talking about be real, be honest to who you are. And here I am every 12 days, I'm dyeing my hair. And I thought, I can't do this. So the very first thing I did, I have problem with my thyroids too. And my endocrinologist said, I think you need to stop dyeing your hair. That's not a good idea. Then I came to my then boyfriend, not the husband yet, who's today my husband. I asked him, I said, would he mind if I don't dye my hair? And then he goes, I love you, but even if you shave your hair. I said, God
Oh,
bless you. That was it. When I cut my hair shorter than an inch, and it was much longer than now, cut it short an inch, and I let it grow very white as it is. And now I'm being called a Persian fox, and that's fine.
I love it though. I love it.
it's
There's
it's just
girls
that
in their 20s that are dyeing their hair
that's
gray.
right. I
And
saw
it's
that.
a fashion statement these days. Like, who would have ever thunk that, right? But I love it because it just shows
Thank
like so
you.
much maturity and life. Like there's so much wisdom in that transformation of life itself. Like my husband was all self-conscious when he was turning gray as well. And I'm like, he was starting to dye his like goatee and his mustache. I'm like, please don't.
Oh
Like,
no.
I love the salt and pepper because you're distinguished. You're showing that you have some life under your belt. And
We have earned this. We have
yes,
earned it.
yes.
This is my pride. I mean,
Amen.
it's just
Amen.
I have been through so much ups and downs in life, which I'm grateful for every bit of it, but they have been with me. And now, why will I want to hide it? And
That's
that's what I'm
great.
telling. I thought if I'm telling everybody, look, accept who you are, and then I keep on dyeing my hair and hide myself under the color and being somebody else, what a conflict to what I say, you
Mm,
know. And I thought, no, I'm accepting it for what it is. And that's what gotten me to be today, that I want to be that love and support for others and teach others that um, no matter what you go through in life, embrace it, take
mhm,
it as your gift.
mhm.
It is a massive challenge, but not for it to knock you down, but for it to lift you up and
That's
go
great.
up sky high. And whatever it is, become much more than that
Yeah.
because of it.
I am curious though, because you were diagnosed in your 20s with fibromyalgia, which is like you said, it's attacking your cells and muscles and joints. Like it's an inflammation disease, correct?
Correct.
So how have
Very
you
much.
been able to support that? Because if there's other women here in this community that have fibromyalgia and struggle, it's paralyzed. It can be paralyzing. I actually worked
It
with a lady that,
absolutely, it absolutely is paralyzing.
yeah,
100%. I am telling you, I have days and nights that I went through. When I went to very many different doctors, they said they gave me so many different medications, so many different, and I took it for a day or two or a week, and then I said, "My God, I'm a zombie. I can't deal with it. I can't live. I'm a trainer. I have to be in the gym at 6 a.m. in the morning. How can I talk like this and walk like that and be?" I just cut it all off. I mean, I never took it long anyway, but just like a few days. And I thought, working out, eating unbelievably clean and healthy.
mhm,
I have my juice every morning that I do. And there I wanted, okay, I'm doing all that stuff that I'm doing with food and workout, and sleeping matters tremendous amount of it, which fibromyalgia takes it away from you. And when I checked so many doctors, so many medication that there was there, I just thought I have to adapt my body with just one single pill a night that I take, that my rheumatologist prescribes it for me. And then he goes, yes, but people with fibromyalgia, they need to have Cymbalta, as well as this pill that I take is called diclofenac. And
mhm.
then he goes, you have to take about 3 or 4 diclofenac because it's every 12 hours. And goes, well, you take a 50 milligram and then you can take 3 a day. Then you take Cymbalta. I said, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. So I decided I only take one at night of a diclofenac, and that is it. I don't take anything else, but I eat super, super, super clean.
And I love how you
Eating
stress that
matters.
because that,
It
because
is
it's
humongous. People,
huge.
when they are bedridden, what do? They eat a lot of potatoes, a lot of sugar, fried food, fast food, plus more fast food, Coke. Then they say, okay, it's now better diet Coke, diet Pepsi, anything that is diet, it makes you even more sick. That's awful. You might sugar, 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 white flour, all of that carbs are bad for us.
Mhm.
Carbs are awful for us, and these are the things that, like, every morning I have it here. If we were live, I would have shown you the my glass that I have. It is always every morning a handful of blueberries, boysenberries, strawberries, cucumber, cilantro, celery, kiwi, and then what else? Fresh mint and ginger.
Mhm.
And then I put a scoop of a gluten-free protein powder on it. And like, if I have time, like I did this morning because I was on a Zoom 2 hours before you, and then I
Mhm.
make a tea that it gets cold, and I pour it on it. I put it on it's a blender. You don't throw anything, and I drink that throughout the day. All and it becomes like 20 ounces, but I keep on pouring water on it, so it becomes about 40 ounces by the time I finish it, and
Wow.
I'm drinking that, and it's a lot of good vegetables and herbs that goes into my kidney, my liver, the
Exactly.
spleen. where your, all of that get fed. And once they get fed, they send a good message to the brain. I get so much compliment from my skin, and all of that is just what I put in my body first in the morning. Like today, I was starving. I was on Zoom at 7:30 in the morning. So I told my husband, he put a spoon of peanut butter that is gluten-free, and I was just licking on it while I was talking because I just needed instant. And then I put collagen in my coffee every morning, because we need that for fibromyalgia people. They need so much healthy eating habit, which I have been helping. I'm more than happy to help. I have this young girl. She got diagnosed with MS at the age of 42, and this was 42. She's now 49. This year she will be 50, and no matter what she did, it started from a side of face, and it was like so painful. And so once she got diagnosed, I said, okay, choice is to get on the wheelchair any minute. And they gave her, no lie, 17 different pills, 17 bottles they gave it to her. And this goes back to about 2 years ago. And then when she once called me, and then she goes, okay, what do I do? I said, the choice is your body. You want to continue being on a wheelchair, go on a wheelchair and stay on it, is your choice, or breaking it and just deal with all the dilemmas that you've had, face it, talk to the family, go. She abandoned her immediate family for the last 25 years. And I said, let's go through it, let's deal with it. And she did. She chucked all the medication away, not telling a soul, not even telling me the way she did it, because I didn't mean that way. I wanted her to wean off, but she didn't even tell me. And in 1 week, she got bedridden completely when her husband was out of town, and she chucked them all out. And she really played a big risk for her life, but she made it. And she was juicing desperately. She had help at home. They were doing it. And she was in bed 7 days, shaking, shivering, going through the withdrawal. And she goes, either I die or I fix it. And she came out with that medication, and she'd been doing every single day yoga, meditation, chanting, contacting to every single soul in her family back in Texas, dealing with them, talking to them, visiting them, making amends, making all their relationship good back. As I said, this May, she will be 50 years old. She jogs every day. She runs by the ocean, and she dances every single day. And she has a flare up, but it's all a matter of head. It's all up here.
Yeah. My auntie's got MS. She's in her 70s, and was diagnosed in her 20s. So she's had it for over 50 years.
Oh, wow.
And she is just starting to become more, her mobility is becoming more restrictive now, but she has been super, super consistent at walking. She'd walk every single day, and she'd get on the bike, and she'd do her band stretches and different things, like in her torso stuff. Like she was constantly, it was like fresh air for her to constantly be moving her body. And that's what kept a lot of her flare-ups at bay. And when she would have the flare-ups, because they still would happen, she was able to recover quicker because she had all of those great habits instilled within her day-to-day. So it's not a fun, it's not a fun experience to have these diseases that come into us, but to be able to understand, like, how can I serve the body by juicing, by giving the right fuel, hydration, and movement in order to support the body in what it's doing and what it's supposed to do. Coming into that place of calling and where we're called to be. Like, you were diagnosed with fibromyalgia. You've been able to now take that into consideration, and you're taken care of by juicing and moving your body and getting the sleep that you need, and making sure that all those habits are in place so that you can be your best self to serve others that are in the suffering. And having that understanding of the suffering brings a whole nother level of compassion and empathy when someone else is saying, I just can't. I bumped up my shoulder. I'm still working through it, but I went to an acupuncturist and she's like, what did you do? And I'm like, I didn't do anything. Like, maybe I just sit at my desk too much. She's like, no, that's not it for what was going on with it. And she's like, what's going on? She goes, what's going on in your head? So
Absolutely.
it's so important to take, we don't think that all these things that are going on in our body have anything to do with what's going on in our head, but the stresses of life can really take a toll on us if we don't navigate them and process them accordingly. There's stress in life. We all have it, and it's inevitable. It's going to come knocking one day. If you haven't experienced it yet, it's a coming, because
Absolutely.
right.
One of the things that my beautiful coach was saying the other day, it goes, in every suffering, everything, somebody tells you something nasty, somebody breaks your heart, see the gold in it. And that's what I have, without seeing, calling it the gold, I have found the gold, which I call it a gift, in every aspect of life that we go through. Divorce is not easy. Separation is not easy. Being cheated on is not easy. I had the pleasure of working with this group of ladies that they are called battered women here in few years ago. And when I went in there and I just saw this beautiful, gorgeous, blonde, blue eyes women. And I just said, is your husband looking like you? And then he goes, why? I said, I thought white men don't hurt their wives. I thought probably, I don't know, I never saw, my father never hit my mother. We never had that, but I thought maybe it's just something that is cultural, that part of the world. And then I looked at this place, there are thousands of them there, they're all white, and they said, yes, our husbands. And I thought, there's a gift, let's figure that out. What is it learning? What do you learn from this? There you go. And one of them goes, I will never marry another white man. I said, that's a wrong attitude. It's not a white and yellow and black man or a woman that causes it. It's that individual that does it.
That's right.
It is the individuality. Within my own family, I have two brothers that they're terrible men, but that doesn't include me.
That's right.
I have nothing to do with them. That doesn't include my other sisters and brothers. It's just the two of them are two peasants. They chose that.
Yeah.
So it's that all that individuality that comes in here, that we all have to know where is our gift.
Yeah.
No matter how much you suffer.
Yeah. And we have freedom of choice. And I love how we get to choose.
I always say
path, right?
life is all about the choices.
Yeah.
What you choose will absolutely distinguish for us what road are we going to pick. Are we going to choose to be that person that feeling sorry for myself? Oh no, nobody likes me. Oh my God, I got to go down to myself, and then head on to the road of misery. Or you want to say, no, that happened because of this. Now I have to find out my why and where and how, and get myself out of this. And it's not an easy thing. We won't be able to do it by ourselves. Right. We need, because if we could do it by ourselves, we would have done it by now.
That's right.
And if that's where we are, that means we cannot do it by ourselves. We need help.
That's right.
And
we need to
the help is there.
Yep.
The help is there, and it's very, very sad to see that people don't want to use the help, because life gets that much harder.
Yeah, it does get harder. And so there's no shame in asking for help. And just expanding your circle. Like you don't always have to just go to psychiatric help, or there's so many levels to getting that support, coaching and mentorship, getting involved in workshops and networking, just different things like that, or even just expanding your friend circle, and expanding that space so that you have people you can lean on when you're when you're struggling. You know, having a friend like Fari, guaranteed if you're struggling, she's going to show up at your house with a freshly whipped up smoothie. Like she's going to take good care of you. This has been such a great conversation, and I thank you so much just for sharing what brought you into this space and just how important it truly is to focus on the message within the struggle, and to really take in that inventory piece of how we're serving our body, because our body is going to give back to us what we give to it. So if we're beating it up, it's going to beat back. But if we're loving it and nurturing it and feeding it with the good source of nutrition that it needs to be well supported, it's going to give back to us so much more energy, vibrancy, passion, and zeal for life. So thank you so much for sharing that, Fari. If anyone here within the community is like, I love this woman, she's a firecracker, I want to connect with her, how do they get in touch with you, love?
Well, I have my website, www.faritransformation, one word, no space, faritransformation.com, or they can always contact me on my phone number if they wanted to get in touch with the phone number. And it's 310-890-2438, that you can put it up if you wanted to. And I am planning on probably doing small groups of people that people can have space, and when they want to have their own little community of 4 and 5 people, that we can get together on a weekly basis and you know, make it like a little home for all of us. So
that's
we
right.
can be supported. And I'm also on Instagram, the same thing, Fari Transformation. And my spelling of name, I'm sure you put it up there, right?
I will definitely put it in here, but it's Fari Transformation. Really simple and easy to locate. So
yeah, and there's no space between Fari and transformation, all one word. And it'd be lovely to hear from people, and I'd be happy to help.
Well, I love your heart of service and the love that you're shedding and sharing and exploding all over the world. So keep doing what you're doing, love.
Thank you for having me. That was really lovely.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, my darling. Thanks.